Two players, one you might know, one you probably don't. Unless you're an avid follower. In the bottom right, from War Gaming.
Good. Now I have your
Which doesn't mean what you think. I believe it's Wind and Rain Gaming, and that's just an acronym, a happy acronym. That definitely wasn't what they were working backwards from. It's Soul, who I believe is a Polish player, if I'm remembering correctly. Now, if now, I know one of these players for sure is Polish, and that in the top left, always near the top, and on occasion he's made it all the way there in WCS. Elazer. Thank you, Ram. Now, Soul for though... Oh, so a Polish showdown. Okay. Let's see who polls better. But Soul has been near the top of the European ladder for quite a while. But like many players, I'm not going to say especially in the foreign StarCraft scene, it's just players in general. There's a big difference between ladder and performing in tournaments, like best of 3, best of 5, sometimes lands. I believe this is from an online tournament, I'm not 100% sure. And he's been someone who wasn't quite able to bridge that gap. Recently, he's qualified for WCS, and he plays with players like Elazer every day. He's up there, 6.5, whatever ridiculous amount of MMR is still way under Cyril. So he's by no means a nobody, not a pushover. Definitely someone who has probably beaten Elazer many times. Of course, I'm sure it's gone the other way. So don't sleep on him. But at the same time, Elazer, one of the most accomplished Zerg players outside of Korea. Throughout WCS, so I'm still in the Elazer camp. If you made me pick one, I'd be favoring Elazer. But we're on Dreamcatcher, which for many reasons, Terran players are a fan of. The first one, well, the big one, actually almost the entire reason, is this little cliff setup here outside of the bases. Putting a couple tanks behind it. They're not quite in range of the hatch, but they're close enough to be a massive threat. It's very difficult for Zerg players to get around to engage them unless they're already there with creep spread, with units. So early game tank pushes are a very serious threat to third bases, and later game against fourth and more. Oh, that was a surprising exchange there. The Reaper does escape just barely. What are you doing? What is this? Starport? Oh, Starport. Quick Hellion drop with a Starport. Okay. Interesting. I'm not sure. I don't believe this Overlord saw it. There would be links going out. So 4 Hellions complete slightly faster than a Starport finishes and then builds a medevac. The way to kind of even this out is to build your Starport a little bit closer to the enemy base. So by the time the Hellions get across the map, they can get right up into the medevac, express trip, TSA pre-check, and then get dropped right off to burn through the drones. But, okay, now that I said it, I want to say, TSA pre-check, I was going through Atlanta, like, 2 days ago, after Gamescom, and they had a line for TSA pre-check and not TSA pre-check. And it's like, well, they should check who are the people coming through that line, right? This is the security. So, I didn't even pay attention. I just walked into the shorter line and nobody stopped me. And it wasn't until just a couple minutes later, which never happens, I got up and they're like, no, you don't have to take off your shoes, which, what are we hiding in our shoes? But anyways, that I realized I had walked into the TSA pre-check line, and I was like, all right, cool. Anyways, the Zergling gets in, but the Hellions are definitely much more dangerous. Roasting through, the Korean barbecue has begun. I forgot we weren't casting Korean players. That joke works a lot better. But anyways, a couple Hellions will make it out. The Zergling in the main was cleaned up. 6 kills. A Liberator will follow it up. And a third base on the way. Now, a Liberator being built. I'm surprised there's not a Spore. Elazer should know that was quite quick for a Hellion drop. He was obviously a little unprepared. The Queens, is this... Are we doing this? Oh, wait. I'm not sure why the Queens are so far off the creep. I thought there might be some sort of roach push coming with a bunch of Queens in tow, but no. There should be some damage dealt, like some pretty serious. And all the queens are dragged out of position to the medevac. The Liberator gonna get in. The Spore Crawler just began. Will force at least the pull away of most of these drones. Alright. Now, Elazer at 53 in the way of drones, and counting. And with the starport out here, there's no great follow-up for Sol. That's the danger of building a starport on the opposite side of the map. He's got plenty of Marines with Stim. He's got, well, he built another medevac before this, so he does have a 2 medevac drop timing. It's not as bad as I thought. I neglected to realize that. A starport will take some time to make it across. He needs to put pressure. This is a critical time. If you let a laser go another minute without being touched, or at least harassed or pressured in any way, the creep's halfway across the map. He's got 65, well, he does have 65 drones already. He's going to get the lair tech, a 4th base. He needs to at least deny this 4th. He needs to deny that additional production, so that way Elazer can't as effectively utilize his lair tech. Oh, cute moves here with the Liberator. And he actually dips by while the Spore is unburrowing. The Stim Marines are coming in. The Liberator going to go towards the opposite side. There just aren't that many Lings and Banes right now. Without the Banelings, he can't engage those Stim Marines, despite the fact they have no upgrades. He's going for the Extractor. There's some more on the other side. The pickup is good. The medevac taking a lot of damage. 4 drones. A Liberator sieges up. Looks like it might be able to get the Queen, but the Spore Crawler will burrow. Oh, he goes for the drones. I don't know about that choice. Manually retargets. But he does have a 3rd. Elazer taking some hits. He's forced back. He's been kind of pinned by the drops, and that's exactly what Sol needed to do. Did he do enough? The double drop did survive. Most of the Marines as well. The 4th base, once again, a drone coming up, but looks like he decided that might not be the greatest idea. Rock's taken down, and despite the fact that these attacks have not been doing big damage, the lack of a 4th base, a lack of a 4th hatchery really hurts as a Zerg player. You can't power up your production as much as you want to on lair tech, and a lot of the time need to. Oh, just enough energy for Transfuse, trying to get back. Sol scrambling. Now, the one thing he did sacrifice, loses a medevac, gets a couple Banes, not sure that's worth the trade, but the one thing he did sacrifice was quick upgrades going for all this. And, of course, medevac production as well. He finally made his starport all the way back. So Elazer way ahead on the upgrades. He's already a 1/3 of the way, maybe halfway through 2-2. Whereas Sol has +1 and +1 armor has started. Just now starting his +2 weapons. So while this isn't an easy map to attack in, if you're up 2 in the way of upgrades, especially against a Terran who's kind of limited on tanks, then you can definitely force a fight. And Elazer's at 71 drones. We should see a macro hatch very soon as well to be able to spend that money. Infestation pit on the way, working his way towards Hive. 2-2. Oh, nice drop coming in. No Hydras quite yet in order to pick it off. Burrow on the way. Another one of those quality of life upgrades no one... Well, for a while no one got, but does that scan actually reach both? If he had nailed it perfectly, I think... Oh, does he see it? He does not see the Hive start. The scan almost perfect to reach both bases, but not quite. Sol with a push out here. You can't... Well, this is another phase of the game where you really got to put some pressure on, otherwise the creep re-expands once he gets his lair tech. The tank's in position. Good counterattack out of Elazer coming in. Can I... Okay, I just... Enough of this ambient Zerg psytrance. Can we just... Can we not... It's gonna be the same thing. I don't... Little better. Little better. That's more like it. Things are happening. Alright, the tank's coming up. Pushing on the creep. And, well, 2-2 is done for Elazer. That means it's very dangerous to be out on the open field without all your forces. Especially on creep. Sol does have a supply lead, and it is an army lead, but not all his army is together. And with the upgrades, yeah, the Queen's tanking the shots here. Coming in from the other side, the Transfuse is doing a lot. Rolling through all the way past the tank line. Elazer doesn't even care. Trying to target down some Banes. Looks like, actually, no. A counterattack on the other side, picking it off. Most of these units will be taken out. A lot was lost. A lot was lost for Elazer. He lost a lot of Lings and Banes. This drop has the potential to do damage. And that is the only thing keeping Elazer from going on the offensive. Kind of a double-edged sword there. A double drop in that position on the opposite side of the map keeps Elazer from being able to directly attack. But at the same time, if he had that with his army, maybe the fight would have looked different. It's a hard call to make, but I think overall, anything that allows you to get your 4th base up and stabilize after kind of losing an engagement like that is probably what Sol wants. And he got the drop out. He didn't trade it away. He got it out. So that is important as well. But Elazer. Now, surprisingly, I'm actually kind of surprised at this. Going for an Ultralisk Cavern. He did not for the Spire. The Ultralisk Cavern has kind of fallen out of favor. Well, there are 2 times you go for an Ultralisk Cavern. One, when you're so far ahead you think you can end the game outright with a wave of Ultras because they don't have the economy to really get the tech they... Oh, give it to me. Oh, no. It was such an obvious bait. I wanted it, though, so bad. The Burrowbane Mines. So, Ultralisk Cavern is for when, 1, you think you can just end the game with a wave of Ultras, or 2, you don't feel like you have the time to get to Broodlords. Time or money. In this case, I feel like Elazer has the time to get to Broods, and I don't think he's in a position where he can just end it with Ultras, making Ultras kind of a, especially in this kind of choke point-oriented map, a bit of a questionable choice, but, I mean, they're still Ultras. If there aren't tanks with the army or a lot of Marauders... Oh, come on, please. Scans all over the place. He has to use so many. A drop in the main. There aren't that many units here. Elazer spread on multiple different angles. There's a drop going to the north. The drop in the main has been neglected as Sol is continuing to fight here. His drop spiraling in. A drop in the main starting to do some damage. We'll take out the Spore Crawler. The tanks are sieged up in a dicey scenario. Unfortunately, the door is open. You can't leave the door open. This isn't Canada, but Zerglings are coming in. The drop being cleaned up in the main. The main army of Sol working its way towards what I believe is a 5th base. The counterattack doing a lot of damage. The drop cleaned up. Both players maxed out. A good positioning for the tanks for now. Chitinous plating is not done. Those are paperless for the moment. They're trying to work into the choke point, and now we see the weakness of Ultras. A drop darting in past the cliff here. All of Elazer's units have to move around these terrain blockers, whereas Sol is able to fly right over. A base will be taken out. This drop should be cleaned up. Elazer mining from the gold. It looks like he actually killed the command center at the 3rd. There's a lot going on in a lot of different places. This is not where those tanks wanted to be. A quad drop, a doom drop. I'll go ahead and say it. The Ultra's taken out. Another one as well. They're so vulnerable. Elazer's still at 190 supply, though. He's got 77 drones. A huge drop in the main. Elazer scrambles all the way back. A bunch of Overlords. I thought they were Zerglings. They are not. The spawning pool could be taken out. He's got to pick up. He's got to get out before the Banelings connect. He does. He has time for that now. Vipers are on the way. Blinding Clouds are going to be a big part of any further engagements because tanks are all, well, tanks and soon-to-be Liberators are all there is to really deal with those Ultralisks. A good choke point here for Terran to fight in, but he doesn't want to lose too many medevacs. He picks up. He's going to try to drag him back to the main, but Elazer has left some units behind. Sol maintaining a relatively high supply. 4 Marines stimming to the north. That's all they can really do right now, but there's no defense for the handful of drones at the gold. Elazer trying to re-expand. Sol going, well, he's almost finished off his 4th base while he's re-established his 3rd. Drones are starting to fall. He's going to dip under the 70 mark, and neither player is maxed out. The base being dropped on the left side. These Marines are going to have to be cleaned up, even a Liberator for good measure. The drop on the left, he stims. Oh, in autumn colors, all the Marines and the single Marauder. He's going to try to clean up some creep, and there are no units here from Elazer. Still so many at the front. They went over to the right side to help deal with the Marines. Sol is picking him apart, stretching him like a Laffy Taffy. He stims again. He continues to go forward. The medevac still in good HP. Down goes another set, the abducts, but why? There's no units there to abduct. A parasitic bomb as well. He can drag them right back in. The Marines go down with the ship. The parasitic bomb, oh no! Oh, he's fine. Don't worry about it. See the Bane Mine on the left side, but wait. Oh no. Oh no. The danger zone. Down goes all the medevacs, and with it a lot of supply. They had to die at that point. They were marked for death. And a lull in the action. Wait, 2 Liberators. 1 Liberator he could have dealt with the Hydras. 2? Everybody, we're going to take a breath. The gold base will be denied for now. Elazer still at 192. Soul at 82 workers and 185 supply. So both at a high economy and high production. Elazer had some of his economy and some of his production delayed, well, reset. But this is a deadly army. The abducts, a fungal comes in, doesn't quite catch that much of the bio. An interesting segmentation here. The liberation, the freedom zones are going to be enough, and this is why ultras can sometimes be more of a curse than a blessing. The scans coming in, he sees the re-expand. Now, getting past these 4 bases is what Soul has been struggling at. He's really trying to find an angle. The rock's still down at the front. Gonna pick a few liberators out. The tanks at the back. Are there even any medevacs? There's one medevac on the front. She's got a lot of work to do. Scans all over the place. A liberator at the north finally taken out by Queens. Well, why are you here? But did he see it? Did he see it? He hits the main mine. Wait, was that even on purpose? It is now. I'm gonna kite back the ultras. Oh, but there's a ghost. He can lay down a steady shot right into the ultra. Takes it down. But he's still fighting heads up against the Hydras. The Hydras have 2-3 upgrades against the 3-3 bio. The tanks at the back. He's actually going for the liberator. I don't know, Kev. The Corruptors come up to a fight that was already over. The fights have gone from huge amounts of units all over the map to very, very small amounts. As the economy... Well, both players have a lot of workers, but Soul is struggling for mineral patches to mine from. Trying to assassinate some queens. Double drop comes in, looking for the gold, looking for army, moving to intercept. I don't even know where he's getting all these scans from. He only has 3 orbitals. Well, he's not dropping mules. That's the summary. That's... Well, that happened. A drop trying to slide around here. He might actually be able to get some drones because the Ultras abandoned them. Elazer has rebuilt drones, but this costs money, and he doesn't have that much in the bank. The pickup? No pathogen glands on the end. Faster means it doesn't pop out with enough energy. An attack towards the top. 1 Ultra should be enough to shut this down, especially with 2 Queens at his side. Push back here. Soul, he needs another base. He's starting to dry up here. The natural's gone. The main is gone. The third is in drought. Soul needs to make something happen. He needs this base. It's come down to this. There's another liberator going out. Just random liberators at random angles, hoping that the laser can't keep track of it all at once. Some EMPs on the Vipers, actually. A blinding cloud comes through at the front. A lot of Baneling hits. A fungal. I don't even know where that came from. Probably a burrowed infestor. He picks up a lot of the Marines in a very... More Ultras are trickling through. The Liberator racking up a dozen drone kills and more. And it looks like Elazer has tried to break the Terran again. But again, the Ultra's not enough. The unit's trickling through, but... I mean, the drone count isn't that low, but he has to keep rebuilding them, and that costs money. More drones going down. 19 kills on that Liberator. This base will fall. Elazer's still mining from the gold. Not that much, but it's something. Soul has established a new lifeline. Where? He's pulling the boys. All right. So 74 SCVs. 74 SCVs. I don't need these. Oh, actually, that is his main. The main is on a journey. After 18, 19 minutes comfortable, growing up on the high ground, surrounded by production facilities, the main base decides it wants some adventure, and we'll go to the center of the map. Now, Elazer, he needs to slow it down. He's finally gone for the broods. Will this be the ticket? Soul is maxed out. Elazer needs to be cost-effective now. Elazer is a very lair tech, a very kind of slugfest-style Zerg player. He wants to just keep fighting and keep winning fights. But Soul has now slowed it down, not necessarily by choice, but by necessity. He knows he can't just be trying to fight into Ultralisk Broodlord armies. He needs to pick a fight, and Elazer has shown that he'll overextend. He's overextended several times in this match. And that's why we see Soul maxed out, where Elazer is struggling to get the gas to do so. This angle, these drones are, this base is gone. I don't think there's any way you can fight this. A lot of units are coming. I think we saw the select all army hotkey in desperate use here. But he brings everything to potentially the climactic fight. How many ghosts are in the mix? A grand total of 3. Not that many. There's no direct counter to the brutes, just the Marines, which, over time, is going to be an issue. There's a lot on the right. The tanks are unsieged. If Elazer's going to go, this might be the time. He's got energy on the Vipers. The Zerg is waiting, and here it comes. 200 energy Viper. He's going to try to go for the broods. The attack on the right not coming through right now. He tries to snipe out. We'll get a couple of the broods. The attack on the right side a bit disjointed. The tanks forming something of a wall. Blinding clouds will hit all of them, and they will be rolled right through. The Terran army stemming back, trying to hold the line, but the line breaks. The Ultras and Banelings able to crush through, and Elazer sets up the fight, tees up, and knocks Soul down. 26, more and more SCVs going alongside, almost an afterthought. The Terran army has been wiped from the floor. He has some income, but not enough. Elazer finally. He sat back, put everything together, and laid down the killing blow. Now, I actually want to go back. I want to look real quick at that last fight. And I feel like Soul actually slowed down a little too much on his drops and stuff like that. So what do we have here? I don't know if I caught all the details. We got the Brood Lords encroaching, and there's no direct counter. There's just the Ghosts. The Marines can't just stim under. A little bit of a scout with the Lings as to where everything's going to be. Now this is in slower motion. Stims, I believe only the Marauders. I'm not 100% sure to start, but the Marauders are out in front. The snipes go off before. A blinding cloud at the front. He brings the Lings and Banes in, but hits a blinding cloud on the tanks. And it crushes through the tanks. They might have been able to get a volley off and hit enough Banes. And then once the bio is all alone, it crumbles. The Broodlords were the ticket. I'm gonna take a little credit. I mentioned earlier that Broodlords are the unit you go for if the game either isn't about to end, and you're not desperate. But the Ultras had a big part of it as well. And then crushes through. Yeah, those tanks, like losing 10 tanks, you can't lose 10 tanks. He used the vision blocker because there was no air as well as a part of that. So that was a pretty sick game.